There's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. A little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP. Hey, Gumpers.
Hola, bon dia, alegria, Munson here with the Expats Portugal show. Tudo bem? How are you this morning? Do let us know in the chat, please. Where it's pretty busy this morning already. There are still messages of support coming in for Gilda. How amazing is that? And I got a lovely message overnight from Suze about Gilda in a Gumper group that we've got, which is very nice. Coach Turner's here. Deagle's here as well, as is... Oh, it's a 4-duck rating. Is there a pattern here? Maybe there'll be 5 tomorrow. Keep an eye out for that, folks. And dad jokes, Portuguese sayings of the day, deep thoughts, of course, and a joke I don't quite understand. Maybe we'll do the dad. No, I think because we're talking about currency, insurance and mortgages, we might need a little bit of light relief at the end. So I'm going to save those. So Benjamin Franklin, that's no joke, is it? But what do you call a guy who's had too much to drink? The answer to that. And what do you call someone who graduates last in their class from med school? That's a good one. That too later on towards the end of the show. So some dad jokes. Do let us know if you've got any light relief, and we'll factor that in towards the end of the show as well. Bon dia, alegria, Gumpers then from T-Duck. And yes, great timing to have Spartan FX on today. Yes, in many ways, yes. Good time for the Americans and the dollar. Terrible time for the British pound. What a time it's been for the United Kingdom in these last few weeks. Deagle's in with, I've only 7 shifts to do over the next fortnight before I'm in Portugal. That's come up quickly, isn't it? Maybe not quickly enough for you, Deagle. We've got a nice souvenir idea for you from Suze as well. I've been downloading pictures this morning before we started. I think I'm up to date with all of that. And there'll be some graphs to download, I'm sure, showing you the currency fluctuations when Sarah joins us. So, yes, before we get into your lovely greetings this morning, let me just let you know. Oh, where did that banner go? I carefully crafted a banner, and it seems to have disappeared already. I can't believe it. And it was a very elaborate and beautiful one, that as well, heralding the arrival of Sarah and Nuno and Jacqueline as well, talking about mortgages this morning. Where's it gone? Consumer Tuesday this morning. I can't believe it. I took a lot of trouble to create that bad boy this morning. I can't believe it. Did I refresh? Did I refresh the screen and then lose my work? I can't believe it. I thought I'd saved it. Oh, my goodness. I tell you, if you have to watch me do this live, it's going to take it has gone as well. I don't believe it. As Victor Meldrew would say. I've got one that's similar, but it's just not the same. Consumer Tuesday, there's a lot of these. They're little templates. They're little templates. So I guess this one will do for now. It's Consumer Tuesday on insurance and foreign exchange Q&A. But I've got to change it. I can't leave Jacqueline Moulen out of this, of course. Okay, I'm going to put plus sorry about this, but bear with them. Just have a sip on your tea. I wish I could do that right now. Got a lovely cup of tea going cold next to me. Plus Jacqueline Moulen on mortgages, and then we'll have to leave it at that this morning. But yeah, it took a lot of trouble to type up a lovely ticker tape banner, and then it just disappeared. So let me just see if this will work for you now. Let me know if there's any typos in there, will you? But I'm hoping to convey to you that it's a very busy and exciting morning. Insurance with Nuno Mendes from around 9 a.m. Did I send him the link as well? Oh my goodness, all sorts of challenges. Okay, yes, he's on at 9. Then we'll have later on in the show, we will have Jacqueline Moulen on mortgages and Sarah Davie excited to join us, letting us know about all these currency fluctuations. Nuno's already here, and I think just limbering up behind the scenes. Did you hear him there with his little Okay, Benjamin Franklin, we've got yet to come to. Benjamin Franklin is here with us this morning. Let's start with a deep thought of the day, shall we? Wise men. This is why we've got Benjamin Franklin with us. Deep thought of the day. Wise men don't need advice, and fools won't take it. I wonder what that means for our guest this morning. We shall find out as the morning unfolds. Benjamin Franklin, of course, was an American polymath who was a writer, scientist, inventor, statesman, diplomat, printer, publisher, and political philosopher. What a show off! Basically, let's do the Portuguese saying of the day as well. And we'll check again on this with Nuno, see if he's heard of this one. Ninguém perde nada por pergunta. Nobody loses anything by asking. So there you go. Whilst Benjamin Franklin would have it that fools won't take advice and wise men don't need it, nobody loses anything by asking questions, which you're very welcome to do this morning. And I suspect you will want to do when it comes to talking about insurance, about mortgages, and about currency, in that order this morning. So yeah, I think that's about right. The ticker tape on the screen there. Gilda, left over from yesterday then. Gilda from Deagle, give time after yesterday's show. I think you're too hard on yourself, and I think you might be right. This is goes with, I think, Gilda's personality to want to be so helpful to people. She's actually quite sometimes, perhaps, may I suggest, unhelpful to herself in her wish to be so much of service to others. Very interesting, and I'm sure this will continue. And there was an amazing sense of relief as well, I thought, yesterday with Gilda sharing such as she did. And I think it did so much to endear her. If she wasn't popular enough already, she went a stage further yesterday. Would you agree? Bom dia, Gumpers. Feliz terça a todos. Como vão as coisas? How things? Coisas, one of the great Portuguese words. Alguma coisa and coisas, there are things. Question, then, cue this. He throws me with his use of, he's going to go down in history as some kind of lyrical gangster with all this. Cue this. Why we fight? I think we fight because too many people are not standing up saying, I'm not doing this anymore. And that was Lieutenant Colonel, or Lieutenant, as James might say it, Colonel Karen Kwiatkowski. I bet people were saying, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not pronouncing your name because I can never get it right. Lieutenant Colonel Karen, U.S. Department of Defense, retired because another is imposing their ego on and over me. Okay, an interesting view on conflict then, personal to global, extrapolating the theme that he has been developing in these last couple of weeks on the thoughts from the Redwoods. First thing on a Monday morning. Suze, hi all. Now, thank you very much, Suze. On social media yesterday, you said of Gilda as well. It's turning into the Gilda show, this, isn't it? I watched Migration Monday. Gilda's candor, honesty, and vulnerability to me are traits that make for great leadership. And her doubt about her choices is healthy. We all have doubts at times. It's a good self-check-in. I feel honored to have her, to have shared that with this community. I trust her and look forward to the day I can benefit from EI helping me. And James and Carl and the Gumpers who sent supportive messages, comments, was moving. Gilda, I hope you're ready to waltz back into the office with your head held high and your vision spectacularly clear. Onward and upward, proud to be a Gumper. Nice one, Suze. And given that it's Consumer Tuesday, I forgot to mention that. A lovely little consumer tip from you. These are cork postcards. I can't actually see what's going on there. Is it truly a cork postcard or is it a picture of a cork postcard? But you say that these are very lightweight gifts. Of course they are, if they're made of cork. There's a nice little tip. If you're taking things for the folks back home, you might not want to put a pottery porcelain cockerel in your baggage. You might get broken. It's a little bit heavy. You might want to pack some lightweight cork items. You can get hats and little clutch handbags, I've noticed. Not that I've got one yet. For made out of cork. Portugal, of course, being a great cork producer. And you'll not find a plastic cork, so to speak, here in Portugal. All the wine has corks in, which I always find reassuring when I'm sniffing them. As I do. Only my own. I don't go around sniffing other people's corks, you understand. Well, with permission, I might. Good morning and good night. Thank you. San Diego, you've been amazing. San Diego, California, then this morning. Alan Donovan's in. Hi, Alan. How are you this morning? And yeah, for you too, Suze. It's a bit of a bon dia, bon noite situation. Good morning, everyone. I'm here for the toilet humor. How very rude are you, Nom de Plume, coming here for toilet? Okay, fair enough. Let's succumb to that. Fartikosh, traveling toilet seats and whatnot. Yes, the great Garvo on Friday was asking where have all the toilet seats gone in Portugal, and the suggestion was is that you carry your own around with you. Great idea. Again, not a brilliant souvenir, and probably not best to make one out of cork. Not especially hygienic, is it? I wouldn't have thought. But although somebody's going to tell me in a minute, aren't they? No. Cork, because it's from the mighty oak tree, has a natural antibacterial property within it. Probably not strong enough to withstand the demands of being made into a toilet seat. But although I stand, or do I sit, to be corrected on that matter. Nuno is saying good morning, everyone. Be joining us soon. And Suze tells us she had a Brit friend reunion day and brought fish and chips to an old friend with mobility issues, followed by British tea. Very good. I think that's right. And the Brits do say this, to swill it down with a nice cup of tea afterwards. God's squad tip of the day then. After all that fish and chips and tea, mushy peas and stuff, maybe a wally. Do you know what a wally is? Any Brits here might know what a wally is that goes with your fish and chips. Advanced balancing now. Goodness, you're really pushing us this week, Coach Turner. On one leg as before. Raise your heel off the ground to stand on the ball of your foot. Hold for 5 seconds. Repeat a few times. Then change legs. Good challenge. So it's all balls this morning for Coach Turner. Balance on your balls of your feet. I hasten to add there. Thank you, Coach Turner, for some advanced balancing input this morning. Very, very good. And we're not disappointing Nom de Plume this morning, are we? Who's saying bon dia, James, as well. Hey, Mac007, how are you? Bon dia. Haramai from, is that how I say it? Haramai from New Zealand. How's it going? Mac007. Be nice to see you when you're back in the country at the Silver Coast meetup. Those days of sitting there in the sun, I think are behind us for a few months. Was out this morning. It was a lovely morning. I've got a picture of the pampas grass. I don't like to hang around the pampas grass too long. I'll be honest with you, because of its associations in. I don't know if it's the same in Portuguese culture. James, thank you for that message. I'll download that as well. But I didn't check to see if the photo of the pampas grass was good enough to share with you this morning, but it did summon up. Yeah, I think I'm going to share this with you because, it's got the sunshine bursting through as well. Let me just find that for you. It says it's a great picture, and it's where was I going with this? Yes, Mac007. You remind me of sunny days sat on the deck outside Palmera Cafe. And it's very autumnal. Whilst I was out with the dogs this morning, it felt very autumnal this morning. You know, that kind of time of year when the kids going back to school, that sort of, sorry if that's bringing back bad memories for anyone. It is for me. I never used to really like this time of year as a school child, but certainly now out with the dogs in the fresh air. It's very autumnal here in Portugal, or certainly this part on the Silver Coast. How is it where you are? Do let me know what the weather's like where you are in Portugal this morning, or for that matter anywhere else in the world. I am downloading a picture of pampas grass as we speak, and I dare say that will change my Google and Facebook advertising offerings as well. So that to come for you. Just trying to save it now. Flipping it. It's taking a long time, isn't it? And James, what's this? Oh, tickled my dark humor therapist mind. Can't wait to see that then. Is that for sharing with everybody, James, I wonder? Or is that just for my... yeah, let me know if you want me to share that one or not, along with the pampas grass picture that I will be showing. In fact, I'm going to do that now. Look at this. A little bit after dawn this morning here on the Silver Coast in San Martino de Porto, but look at that. The pampas grass is absolutely magnificent. I might harvest one to use as a feather duster in the house. I was thinking to get to those high cobwebs, of course, because the spiders are making their way into the house at the moment, aren't they? In the autumn, and there's a few cobwebs about. And when I put my pinny on, what better tool, domestic tool, to have at my disposal than a feather duster, which I can harvest from nature at the end of the street. But look at that. A little after dawn here on the Silver Coast, San Martino de Porto, down by the pampas grass there. Bear with me. I'm just going to have a little sip of my tea. Just talk among yourselves. Ooh, I needed that. All right, that'll do. Thank you very much. And let's get back to your comments this morning before we get to some very exciting toing and froing with our guests this morning. We have Nuno Mendes from Winsurance. Now, I know what happens. I think, well, I'm guessing what happens, and tell me if I'm right or not, is that you have an insurance thing on your mind, and you think, I know, I'll ask Nuno that next time he's on the Expats Portugal show. Similarly, with Sarah from Spartan FX and Jacqueline Moulen from Mortgage Direct, you think to yourself, next time they're on, I'll ask them the question. And then next time they're on, you forget what the question was, I think. So rack your brains, give your head a wobble, I think, as some people sometimes say, and see if you can retrieve that that thought you had randomly when you were at shops or something like that about insurance, about currency or mortgages this morning. Government causes the problems. They bail you out with your cash. That was another thing I was thinking this morning. It's been a long time since I've seen a Facebook post from anyone who said, I love my government. They're doing such a good job. Has anyone ever said that ever anywhere? I wonder. I don't want to be too cynical. I dare say some people have said that in a moment of not madness exactly, but maybe when they got a tax break or a tax check refund or some other support from the government. But generally, it's a weird thing, isn't it? That it's called government. And it doesn't always work out like that. What do they govern exactly, and how well are they doing? It's becoming an increasingly more difficult job, isn't it, to be a politician and a governor, as it were, as a leader in this world of ours and these interesting times that we're going into. Okay, very good nom de plume. I think you've guessed that right. And I don't think I get either of the jokes this morning. Maybe they're lost in American English translation, not the language, but the humor. Here once again with a full sunny day in Lisbon. Great. All right, we'll be with you in just a moment, Nuno. Watch out for the debt to the bank, says Miguel Luis Souza Diaz. Interesting. Why would you be saying that? Is that, is now's the time to pay down your loans before things get out of hand? Is that your advice this morning, Miguel? And you're saying, cuidado con a dívida ao banco, which is the same in Portuguese there. Very good. It is attractive to buy a house with a loan, but better to rent an apartment. Do you think so in these times? Okay. Then, when you have enough money, you can buy a house. Some good old Portuguese common sense there, I would say, on how to manage your affairs. Thank you for that, Miguel. How are you this morning? And Pam's in as well with a bon dia. How are you doing, Pam? Nuno, my hero. That's a nice welcome, isn't it? I'll save that for him as well as the Portuguese saying of the day. And Miguel Luis, translation means hello, welcome with love. What's that? Bon dia alegria, I wonder. See, okay. Oh, it's not bon dia alegria. It is the hare mai, the Maori saying. Very good. We're learning things all the time here on the Expats Portugal show. These precious, I was thinking the other day, we do 90 minutes, don't we? It's like being a footballer. But we don't have a halftime break like those overpaid softies. We just keep going for the full 90 minutes. No sliced oranges, nothing. No one running on to rub my legs with Raljex. Careful. See? From Mac 007. And Jim's in as well. Jim, you were really wonderful yesterday with your support for Gilda. Bon dia, a recognition as well. I don't want to make her sound like a victim. It could sound like, if you weren't here yesterday and what we've been saying, she wasn't no victim. She was magnificent. And people from all over, every corner of Gumperdom coming forward to offer her kind words and encouragement. Bon dia, Carl Slugs, Sarah, Nuno, Jacqueline, and Gumpers from a chilly Porto. Okay, so we've got a sunny Lisbon, we've got a autumnal Silver Coast, and we have a chilly Porto this morning. Welcome, Jim, from Miguel. Glad you enjoy my home city. Okay, Miguel, tell Jim, have you got any serving suggestions about what to do in Porto? I imagine Jim's done quite a few of the touristy things, but what might he have overlooked on account of being a foreigner and not learnt about so far? I've got any tips for him and others wanting to visit Porto, Miguel? I was born, you say, in Gaia, but I am from the Porto district. Very good. And Deagle with a searing insight about government here. Government caused the problems. They bail you out with your cash. That is how it works, isn't it? I don't think they bring, with a joint venture, it might be that the collaborators, the partners in a joint venture, bring money with them. to invest in the business. Politicians don't seem to do that, do they? They don't seem to. They don't say, my ideas are so good. What I'll do is I'll put a few million in myself. And I'll reap the benefits later. I'll take a little dividend on my investment and we'll make sure everybody gets looked after. No, they don't tend to come to the party with any of their own cash, do they? We're noticing a few things about government and politicians this morning. Stephen Wells, bon dia. I've been a few years on this planet and I've only just realized that. But maybe we've just been brought up to hope, haven't we? Hope and change. That's the cycle, isn't it? This lot of rubbish, change, hope for the best, hope for something better. Great, we've got some new people. Oh dear, these people aren't doing very well. Let's change and hope for the best. And on it goes, rinse and repeat. But we need something different, don't we? Portuguese poetry from Miguel this morning. Oh, okay, let's do it. Like this. Se tiveres o espírito acordado, a luz da tua alma acesa, a consciência certa tudo será tu. That's a tricky one. Não desprejes as tuas qualidades e serás vencedor. Now, what does that mean? Anybody? Before you give us a translation, Miguel, let's see what other people make of that. And from Gaia, your hometown. Miguel, we have the wonderful Connie Stalika. Hola from sunny Gaia. There you go, right there. Meet up at 2100 today. What's that? Which meetup is that then at 2100? Is that an Ericeira meetup? Well, got to go. See you later. Busy man, things to do, cathedrals to build over there in the UK. Thank you for your brief but excellent appearance this morning, Miguel. And Carl found the cork postcards in Ericeira after a lovely lunch with a certain slug. I was going to say, there's only one slug. Thankfully, I don't mean that badly. Not two kinds of slugs, I suppose. One that you meet in Ericeira, the other one that you discover under your foot after you splattered it on a dark morning. Not unlike the ones that are heading our way as winter approaches. Are slugs such a big problem in Portugal as they sometimes can be in the UK, I wonder? Bon dia todos from a misty Barada this morning. Still cutting the grapes, so to speak. Andy, how are you this morning? Thank you for being here. And the north wind blowing. September, autumn has arrived. Are you getting a bit of oh dear. Okay, I've been put off my idea of using pampas grass as a feather duster. And the north wind blowing. September has arrived. Okay, so it's feeling a bit like that where you are in Ericeira as well, then I take it. James? No, do not use pampas grass as a duster. It will drop all its fluff, seed all over everything. Then I'll have pampas grass growing down the cracks of the sofa. Phew, thank you for that. You saved me from a domestic disaster there. And Nom de Bloom, and here I thought James was greeting me as Sarah. Guess it was the other Sarah. Miguel Diaz, thank you, Miguel. We love your city. Looking after it for Miguel while he's out of the country. Nope, it was you. So we know who you are. Nom de plume. Oh, shucks, she says. Hola, Gumpers. Yeah, we'll go with she, even though we can't see who you are from your picture there. Sarah's a bit of a giveaway, I guess, isn't it? Hola, Gumpers. Long time no gumping. Yeah, where you been, Emily? How are things for you? We sensed a certain amount of trepidation, and you had things to do, didn't you, on arrival? And I think at the time the suggestion was to chill a little bit, give yourself time settling in. How's it going? Let us know, please. Pam Smith, the Portuguese government seems to be getting criticised for giving everyone 125 euros. Yes, how dare they go around giving people their own money like that? What's it for, Pam? Is that a winter heating allowance or something? And how do I qualify? Thinking some of us may be better described as grumpers. Yes, fair enough when you're balancing on the balls of your feet and falling about in the kitchen. But keep on keeping on with that. Some great advice from you, Coach Tanner. Thank you very much for your diligent attention to the well-being of this community. Checking in from Iceland this morning, we got Baddy with a bon dia alegria. How are you doing, Baddy? Can we have an Icelandic greeting? We've had a haramai from New Zealand. Can we have a traditional, what's bon dia alegria in Icelandic, I wonder? And James and Sue's welcoming you, bon dia-ing you and hi-ing you as well, Baddy. When I go to buy insurance from Nuno, I'll have to wear my burqa now that I've announced he's a muito fofo. Yes, how embarrassing. Maybe Lee said soon as mended on that, but he's going to know now, isn't he? He's going to know either way. You might as well just face the fact, as we discovered yesterday, right? just be authentic and transparent about it, and see what happens. Isn't that the best way in life? And as head gardener McGrady was saying, seek forgiveness, not necessarily permission. Still in Canada, says Suze in Vancouver till April. Can I get a D7 visa by then? Hope so. We shall see, Suze, right? Fingers crossed it all works out for you. I think that's for you, Suze. Any chance of a Gumper meetup here in Vancouver? That's it. That is the beginning of a Gumper meetup in Vancouver. You said your game. Let's do it. I'll happily supply. Well, let's get it on the Expats Portugal forum. I can knock up a graphic for you gladly. Sue's great idea. That's what happens when you say any chance. Before the end of the sentence, you volunteered. One of the big steps forward in manufacturing came from Japan, known as Kaizen. This is the continuous improvement, is it not? And the whole effort of excellence, the endeavor of excellence, which we came to know as continuous improvement. There you go. If only the government ran using that method. What are the consequences for not hitting those targets, I wonder? Because I suppose the great get out for parliamentarians and governors and leaders and politicians is, well, if you don't like us, you can vote us out in 5 years' time or similar. Kaizen would be an excellent idea, and excellence in government would be a great idea. Don't hold your breath. I need phonetic. Let me see how well I can do this. Godan dagin alir same ein. Do I say that with more of a sort of Germanic accent or Swedish? I wonder. I think I need phonetics on that. This is a literal translation to Bom de Alegria. So is it a D there? That letter, that third letter. Guten Dagin alir same ein. How did I do with that? 125. 125, that's a comma, not a full stop. Although in Portugal, you have to be careful with that. That is 125, not 125 thou with the comma there, to help with taxes, fines. Oh, okay, so you get fined, and then you get some money back from the government to help you pay the fine. Okay, and then if you spend it on food and heating, you probably get another fine. So hopefully there'll be another 125 coming down the line soon. Fines, lack of pay rises, and inflation, according to my Portuguese family. So there you go. I wonder how many people are behind with their taxes and fines and such matters and bills here in Portugal. I wonder if those things are measured. We can ask Nuno about that. Hence the sarcastic gratitude I see for the 125. Yes, giving you your money back to pay the fines you never wanted in the first place. Interesting. Thanks for asking, Carl. I'm getting into my work-life rhythm. Mornings are the best remote work time, so gumping time is limited. Fair enough. Fair enough. You can make this quiet reflection time with us on in the background. And if you are working on something that may be of interest to the Gumpers, let us know. Always happy to promote a product within the community. We need to look after each other. Love the Icelandic. All 350,000 of them. They may have risen since we last spoke about it. Current government is in a downward, not upward spiral. Well, don't think anyone would disagree with Stephen on that. And very quickly, says Coach Turner, we will find out what the implications of that are with Sarah Davie, who will join us a little bit later on when it comes to the impact on currency exchange. Well done, you almost got it. That's good. I'm good. That's good enough for me. In Liz, we trust. Pete's in, bet against the pound, as does senior advisor. Oh my goodness. Okay, I think we're going to talk about driving licenses this morning with Nuno. So let's bring him on. Nice big round of applause. Here he comes, everybody.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Having some of that is better than some of this. You don't want that. Although that's quite as a scout leader, you're probably quite glad, aren't you, in the evening when all the kids are finally in their tents, dinner has been made and washed up, everyone's relaxing, the last kid has stopped shouting, and you can just breathe out. That's actually quite a nice sound when we frame it like that. How are you, Nuno?
So, all good. The weather helps also because it's a full shiny day today. So I'm looking outside.
You look delighted by that. And we are having a little bit of a late summer, I think, aren't we, in Portugal in some parts?
You see, this is all about energy. So if the sun is there, the day runs better.
Yeah, well, so you're solar powered, are you?
Yes, because I wake up every morning when the day starts, not when
Really?
the sun rises, when the day starts. So in the winter, I wake up later rather than on summertime. So in summertime, I wake up for myself at 5:30, 6 a.m.
You.
and in the winter by 8 or 8:30, depending
Still
on the
not
hour.
too bad. I thought you were sort of hibernating and still in bed by 10 o'clock on the coldest winter
Oh
morning.
no! And I don't even need coffee. So I wake up 100%. The day is on.
Wow. Wow. I did notice that there is a British university that the students are starting, I think, in some universities in Britain, and they are giving out free tea to stop some people developing the bad habit of drinking coffee in the United Kingdom. So they're upholding, whilst all is chaos, it would seem in the United Kingdom, they are setting a good example in some British universities by giving people tea and habits of a lifetime. Keep calm, carry on, and have a nice British cup of tea. Sandra's in this morning. Hey, Sandra. Good morning to you all. How's it going, Sandra Kushner? And no, that's a lovely big man cave greeting for you there. And look, another one. You lovely fella. How is the house that Nuno built? Have you got a comment on that?
No comments.
No.
Sometimes I prefer to forget. I know that they are working on it, and it's going well. But
Yeah. Well, there aren't many people who've built a house who've said, well, that was one of the easiest things I've done in my life. It doesn't tend to go like that, does it? I mean, there are so many variables, aren't there, when it comes to building a house?
Yes.
Yes.
And even that you have engineer and architect and so on. Sometimes it's you that arrives to the construction and say, no, this is not okay.
There's not meant to be a window there.
Yeah. No,
was...
but I understand because I have the house in my mind. I was the one who drafted the house.
The first sketch?
Yes, the sketch.
And a bit more elaborate than a doorway and 4 windows and a nice roof on it.
A little bit more elaborated, yes.
What a Renaissance man you are. That's fantastic. Connie saying, hola, Nuno, to you. And Nuno, yes, the sky here in Portugal, so clear, so blue. One of those 300 days of sunshine that we like to speak about. Well done, Amelie, enjoying that. Stephen Wells, unless you count falling upwards, see the Peter Principle as upward movement. From Jean, talking about political performance this morning. 125 euros for everyone. What's that about, Nuno? Are you aware of this payout from the Portuguese government?
Yes, I know that they are working on something.
It's not been paid out yet.
No, not yet. So I believe that is something similar like Trump did on the United States on the beginning of the COVID, but it's to our accordingly to our dimension. So 125 and 25.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, of course, Trump. But with the helicopter money, it was like, print several trillions. We're going to give everyone $2 million each every day for the next 6 months, just to keep the economy moving. And then what the Portuguese equivalent is, I know, we'll talk about giving everybody 125 euros, and we might give it to them one day.
Yeah, 125 euros.
That's quite a few prato de dias, to be fair. And that will go to everybody, will it?
Yes, it seems so, but I really don't pay much attention to that.
No.
So I know that they are working on something, and it's about 125 euros per person. Yeah. But
there we go.
It'll
be paid to people with income below 2,700 euros a month, I hope, to combat the cost of living increase.
What we must know is that the present year, the Portuguese government consider on their budget to Portugal triple the amount with fines.
Really?
Yes. 3 times what they got the last year. So they are working on radars on the streets.
Just on
They are
motoring
collecting
fines.
a
Are
lot
you
of
talking
money.
about just motoring fines? You're not talking about other
Yeah.
fines?
No, I'm talking only about motor fines, but I'm sure they are working on all other fines they can.
It could be an expensive trip, can't it? To get in the car
Yes.
and to go for a drive on a Sunday morning in Portugal. So you
So,
filled up with petrol, and that's cost you your 125 euros immediately, maybe more. And then you drive down the road a little bit, and you get pulled over, and then you have to pass a 27-point roadside test. Maybe more things than even that. And maybe one or two of them are going to give you a 60 or 200 euro fine. That's quite an expensive morning, isn't it? No wonder people. That's going to create a different kind of lockdown, isn't it? A self-imposed lockdown, not wanting to go out for the risk of being fined on the streets by the police.
We are in Portugal. this is
Okay.
real Portugal.
I'll tell you what, it's not all bad news though, because look, Bob Wenger has successfully and is celebrating the fact that he successfully exchanged his driving license. My goodness, T-Duck will be very jealous of that. Now, driving licenses, you wanted to talk about this morning, didn't you? So thank you for that nice little segue there, Bob. Good morning to you and Viv. Hope you're well up there in the north. So what did you want to tell us about driving licenses this morning, Nuno?
So we talked about these, I believe that on a Good Morning Portugal show, but also on a Thursday night webinar.
Yes.
Okay, about this change in the law that the Portuguese government allows people to drive in Portugal with a US or a Canadian or a UK driving license.
Yep.
Nevertheless, they announced this, but they don't tell to anyone. But it's in the law, of course, that this has some restrictions. So obviously, some obvious, like the foreign driver's license, must be valid.
Yes.
So this is obvious. But the driver must has between 18 and 60 years old. And we know that we have on the expat community many people above the 60 years old. So take care of what you heard about this change in the law, because you must change your driver's license to a Portuguese one. Okay. Yeah. Also, the foreigner driver's license cannot have more than 15 years since they have elapsed.
Okay. So it's got to be 15 years young, as it were.
Yes. Okay. So
there are people, aren't there, who got a driving license when they were a teenager, having driven a tractor past the local policeman, and they got given a driving license back in 1923, and they're still driving on the same thing. So it's got to be at least, it can't be any older than 15 years by the sound of it, from what you say.
Yes, because in Portugal we must change the driver's license. I don't know, at certain age. I don't remember what are the age.
60 and 70, I think, are key ages.
I believe that
70, not 60. 70, I beg your pardon, just 70.
I believe that also at 50, because I changed mine.
Really? 50?
Yes,
Okay.
50 years old. Yeah. So on other countries, they could not have this mandatory change of the driving license.
Yeah.
So they could have the driver's license for more than 15 years old. So take care that you are not accordingly with the law, Portuguese law. Okay. Yes. Also, this is only to drive in Portugal. If you take the car and go to Spain, they could not accept your foreigner driver's license. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
A non-Portuguese, not foreigner, non-Portuguese driver's license.
Okay.
Just to clarify.
Yeah. Very good.
This is nothing to be with insurance. This is only with Portuguese regarding driving. That's okay.
Yes. Okay. Very good. Well, thank you for that. And here's the Portugal news article about it. And the what seemed to happen with this? It was an OECD related recognition, wasn't it? This going back to July of this year when the good news was announced. And Sarah Morgan, we have your driving license here and your address. This is not me publishing this. This is on Portuguese. Presumably, this is just an example driving license, or Sarah Morgan has become very famous and is now being represented by many people around the world. But it was the OECD. Now, I've heard of the OECD. It's like one of those things you hear on the news, but don't really know what it's about unless you've got some sort of geopolitical, whatever, sociological, economic awareness. Well, I don't know what the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. I don't know why there was this particular classification, or that's the funnel through which this occurred, but so it did. And the agreement with the OECD countries are within the OECD are Austria, Australia. It's quite a mixed bag, isn't it? Austria, Australia, Belgium, Canada, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, Czech Republic, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Hungary, Iceland. There you go, Baddy. Ireland, Republic of Israel, Italy, Japan, Korea, Latvia, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Mexico, the Netherlands, New Zealand, Norway, Poland. I won't be much longer. Slovak Republic, Slovenia, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, Turkey, the United Kingdom, and the United States. So these countries come into it and are able to exchange, notwithstanding some of the limitations that Nuno went through just then. I think we've nailed that, haven't we?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Now, interestingly, we've said this before, and it comes as a bit of a shock to people, Nuno, that you don't, the reason why people have lent me their car in Portugal is because it's the car that's insured. This is a slightly different thing around the world. And do you know how different that is as a convention, that it's the car and not the person that is insured here in Portugal? Roughly speaking, around the world, how often is that the case? Because where I'm from in the UK, it's the person gets insured, and then they might have a family member that they name, and they might have a really good insurance policy which allows them to let other people drive their car. But here in Portugal, it's amazing. It's just like, do you want to use my car? There you go. There's the key. The car is insured.
Yes, because, and I'm assuming that they consider that the car is an object that must be liable for the damage that it can provoke to others.
Yes.
For example, imagine that I have my car, and a theft took my car, and I stay with not car, and I go to the police, and I say to them that someone robbed my car.
Yeah.
Even in that situation, I'm the one as owner that is liable for all the damages that the car produce on others. Yes.
Right.
Yes. So, what is insurable in Portuguese is not the driving license, but the car, the plate number. We also can insure driving license for the professionals that works in cars. So on car shops, the dealers have the driving license insured, and they can drive any car besides their own.
Right. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Then they have to have a different insurance for that.
Yes, it's different. So we insure in Portugal the car, not the driving license. Often people ask us to add a different driver. Is not necessary. We only on the insurance policy, only the owner of the car has mentioned on the policy. Yeah. But anyone can drive the car as long as they have, or we have the driving license valid.
Oh, okay. So yeah, they've got to be a reputable and legal driver, a license holder. Okay,
Correct.
now what's occurred to me with I do like the system. I do like the system, and also I was going to say but I'm going to use an and instead. Clearly, as we've discovered from personal experience and what you're saying about fines, there you're meant to carry around your documents, aren't you? Now,
Yes.
do you not think it's asking for trouble that each car on the road has all its documents inside it? So if that thief were to come and drive your car, and you're liable for their behaviour once they've got into your car, broken into your car, and driving it, it's a weird situation, isn't it, that they can have access suddenly to all your documents inside the car? Is this ever a point of contention here in Portugal?
That's true. That most of the people leave the car's document inside the car, so it's everything there. But if an authority stops you, they will check who are you that is driving the car, facing the name that has in the documents.
Yeah,
they will ask you who are you, what is your relation with that person, the owner of the car.
Yes.
And if they think that something is strange, definitely they stop you in the car.
but the person who, I mean, the point being, if the person who breaks into your car suddenly has access to all the documents, don't they?
Yes. Yes.
So it's worthwhile. I mean, I think in many ways it's a good idea to keep the documents in the car. Because the alternative, of course, is to take them in and out of the car every time you get in and out of the car. You can have a little man bag, couldn't you, with all your documents in it, or a filing cabinet. That's not very convenient. So the best thing to do is to have a lockable glove compartment. Which, I mean, nobody keeps gloves in the glove compartment anymore. So I don't know if it's called that. But that's the thing to do, isn't it? Is to lock them up inside the car.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But if someone borrows your car and they can't open it, then they're going to get in trouble, aren't they? Oh, yes. I thought I had it for a minute.
but also it's true that we Portuguese people, we are not panicking with documentation. Okay?
Really?
I know that this sounds very strange to US citizens.
Yes.
Because we tell our NIF to anyone.
Yes,
that
I was just thinking that. That's right. Because American people in the supermarket, it's like contribent, and an American person's looking round, thinking, "Okay, I'm not going to shout this out in the shop. That's a breach of my privacy. I'm going to write it down and show the person. And please don't shout it out as you're reading it out. The person on the cashier is going, Dois, nove. No. Everyone can hear my NIF number. You're absolutely right. People are shouting out their NIF numbers willy-nilly, aren't they, around the place?
2 weeks ago, we handled with a US citizen that we asked for the usual documentation. The IBAN of the bank account, the NIF, and so on. And he said, no way, I will not give you my information about my bank account and my NIF and so on. I say, so sorry, but I just don't have how to do the insurance for you. I'm so sorry. And he says, no, because of that, I will no longer go to Portugal. And
really?
So, yes.
How very dare you ask me for my bank details? That is outrageous.
This is only during a couple of hours, because I enter on the website of the Portuguese Federal Reserve, so the Banco de Portugal, and I just got the information that insurance companies and any shop can ask you for that information, for the NIF. Yes. and for the bank account details if the payment is made due to direct debit.
Yeah.
So I provide him the information. Also, I enter on the website of the insurance supervisor, ASF, and I also collect information regarding that we are allowed to ask for that information to comply with the insurance requirements. Otherwise, we are not allowed to insure anyone. And after a couple of hours, well, I convinced him, because It's in the law. It's on the public websites of Portuguese authorities. And we did.
How
everything.
do they expect to pay their bill without that happening? As in, they would enter it online themselves at their end, but not give the details to you.
Yeah, there's no way. If the payment is due direct debit,
Yeah.
it is the insurer that goes to your bank account and take the money from your
Yes.
bank account.
Yes. So they need the details. Okay. Well, that's a very interesting point. And this person was obviously getting quite concerned and even irritated by your persistence, and you managed to calm them down.
Yes, also because we are very restrict about trying to comply with everything.
Yes.
And we always ask for the IBAN, the identification of the bank account, and we ask for a document with the IBAN and the bank account holder is the way that we ensure that that person is the holder of the bank account to that IBAN. Otherwise, I can give you your bank account, Carl, and you are paying my bill. So,
well, exactly, it's the same with the NIF number, isn't it? If you do shout out your NIF number, the only thing that could possibly go wrong was somebody pays your tax bill for you, which is not a bad outcome, is it?
No, it's like a tax discount.
Yeah, but they're not going to get in past that. So very interesting about the different cultural approaches to privacy on these sensitive documents. Let's bring into the conversation now Jacqueline Moulen. Look at this. Woo! All right. Good morning, Jacqueline. How are you? Because you might have.
Good morning, Carl. Bon dia.
Bon dia, Gria. How are you doing?
Good. Un placer, Nuno.
Good morning, Jacqueline.
You guys have met before, I take it?
No, first time.
Oh, this is excellent. This is excellent because what we're talking about this morning, Jacqueline, and welcome, mortgage advisor from mortgagedirectsl.com. And you're going to give us a bit of an update from the world of mortgages. Nuno, you're going to stick around for a while, right?
Yes.
Good. Sarah will be joining us soon as well. We have the most incredible, illustrious panel this morning talking about mortgages, insurance, and currency soon when Sarah joins us. So a little bit perhaps of an update from the mortgage world, Jacqueline. What exciting times these are. So the English at the moment are probably trying to get their mortgages processed pretty quickly. Well, some of them are thinking, actually, we'll slow right down now because the only way that the currency can go is up now. And others are thinking, quick, can we get my mortgage sorted out before the exchange goes any more against me? What's happening on your desk right now at the moment?
Currency, well, that's actually the topic of Sarah more than it's mine, of course. Of course, our clients are usually from abroad, and they are definitely feeling the fluctuations in the exchange rate. The Brits are not so happy. The Americans are happier.
Yes.
So that's depending on where you come from, if you're going to feel it. But most clients still, I think there's always this quality of life that Portugal has. And then, of course, you still have to be able to afford it. It's not an irrelevant topic. But even more, a reason for some people to seek out a mortgage because, then at least not all your savings right now is evaporating into these currency exchanges.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. So you're pretty busy, I take it.
Yep, we don't tend to really slow down here at Mortgage Direct.
So it's not a seasonal business. It's just a full on all the time.
Actually, it is. I mean, I think 4th of December slows down a bit. But it's also more like the actual demand. So there's two things here. The actual demand doesn't really ever slow down. Like people have all kinds of moments. They wake up in the middle of the night and they feel like I should own a property in Portugal with a mortgage. What happens is that the banks do slow down. So in August and December, notaries close, banks close, or banks are like with a skeleton staff, like just half the employees, things like that. So the actual people wanting a mortgage or wanting to buy property does not slow down. Of course, it does to some extent, but we don't see it dropping off big time at the moment.
Okay.
And we didn't see that in the start of the pandemic. We had the highest record number, I think, 2 months after the pandemic hit, because it's also it's forcing people to think about their realities. It's forcing companies to how to structure the workload and things like that. So a lot of these external factors are influencing the reality that people have. And then some of that, to let's say to our luck or to that fact, many people also could work from home and decide, hey, my home is going to be in Portugal. We'll see a lot of digital workers around the world.
Yeah,
so
of course.
Yeah, that too.
Okay.
But yeah, to come back to the answer, yes, UK buyers are very affected, of course, with the fluctuation of the pound. But people tend to, because we advise a lot too on your second home, so it's not like, it's a different kind of people that we're dealing with in general. Like these are people that are already at a certain point in their life and when they're thinking of making this step. Our company went to the Place in the Sun show in Birmingham just last weekend.
Right. Yeah.
And it was really crowded. Like everyone was looking for a place to relocate, which Portugal, of course, is a big part of that too.
And growing, I think. Somebody was saying that to me. They're watching British TV, and a lot where they might have looked at France and Spain as one of the features on the show. Portugal is coming in there more and more as well. So that's very interesting to know. And I did note as well that some lenders in the UK are pulling products, fixed rates and so on. They're getting a bit twitchy.
Yeah. I'm going to say this is true. 100% confirmed. There's a lot of banks, or 3, I think, at the moment have pulled the fixed rates. We've seen something, because we do Spain, of course, too. We've seen some kind of reaction that for non-resident, which is our main market, really, of clients, as it always has been. We saw that with some banks, they were never really too keen on borrow to you when your income wasn't earned in euros. So that's something we've seen longer. But the good news is for Portugal, there's not many lenders, but there's a few or exceptions that are willing to offer still fixed rates.
Good news.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm so glad you get to meet each other this morning. Nuno, you might have, maybe you're fully financed on your new build, but you can, if you've got any questions, or if anyone's got any questions for Jacqueline, do ask them in the comments this morning. Jacqueline's going to be with us for about 20 minutes or so. She might be tempted to stay a little bit longer if there are a lot of questions this morning, but we've got some catching up to do. And sorry, Jacqueline, if some of these comments seem a bit random, some of they were stimulated before you're okay. You're used to that. Pool time. You know us so well. Indeed, solar power is the way forward. Just a bit of info Nuno probably already knows. Solar now only has 6% tax rather than 23% tax. That's good to know, isn't it? Every little helps at the moment. I go to bed at Icelandic. See what I mean about random? I go to bed at Icelandic summer sundown and wake up at Icelandic winter sun up. That means you have is that a 2-hour day at the best of times? Blech. Tea is horrid. Coffee is actually proven to be good for you, whereas tea stains your insides. And coffee doesn't, Pete? Nuno, you're not a coffee guy or a tea guy. What do you drink, Nuno, during the day?
Vino.
Water, mainly water.
Such a natural guy. What about you, Jacqueline, if you don't mind me prying? Tea or coffee?
Waters. Oh, you can see it. So lots of water and tea. I don't know. Here's my teacup. Yeah, I'm a tea gal.
Jacqueline, was that tea, did you say? Herbal, right?
I don't know if you can actually see my teapot. Can we?
Oh, I see. Okay, I've got it. So you're drinking black tea there?
No, green tea full of herbs.
Green tea.
Green tea with mint, some ginger. Yeah.
Really? My goodness. Okay. Yeah. I'm scared now. Okay. It is worth it, Nuno. Love the house that we built and kind of missed the construction. So there you go. You will miss the headaches one day. You'll be when it's
it was exciting times.
Yeah, exciting, stressful times. How we miss those days. 2 homes very near me have been under construction, already started since I got here nearly a year ago. That's an interesting point, Jacqueline. Wherever I go in Portugal, certainly near where I live, there's loads of house building going on. The message from the industry, is there a delay with house building? Are these things where a finance has been agreed maybe years ago and they're just coming out of the ground now? Is that
That's the normal thing. Okay, that's the normal thing. Like the normal thing is that you, not just from the builders, because in any kind of thing that you have to resolve, the more people that get involved, the more complex it tends to get. If you're building a new house, you usually have to involve the municipality, and then you have legislation this, and you need a lawyer, of course, you need the builders, and I don't know, there's so many people involved in the process. The natural expectancy is that this is going to take longer than you probably thought it would.
Yes.
if there's an additional slowdown, because it's not something that we do a lot with non-resident buyers. They tend to go for a already built house.
Yes.
But some of them do, yeah. And then what we see is that it takes longer than anyone expected.
Yeah, and then if you scale that up into a tower block or something, as I'm seeing on the front here at San Martin de Porto, these things might have been agreed long time ago, and they've only just been able to get the trains back from China or something like that. Okay, Seth appointment, October 17th, wish me luck. Bossard to you, David Durham, good stuff. And Pete, talking to you, Sarah. Very happy to be disowned by Crumbled Plague Island. This is a damning review of the United Kingdom. Unfortunately, my business is still there, and I'm a bit grumpy that they are devaluing my wages. Ooh, that's got to hurt, Pete. All that money coming over, or less of it now, from the United Kingdom. And look, a Gumper meeting in Vancouver. There you go. So 2 people already within half an hour of announcing that. Incredible. Portuguese government. We've been finding out this morning, Jacqueline, that the Portuguese government are going to give everyone 125 euros. Well, some people. Cost of living costing the people an additional 2,000. So we'll help them out by giving them a one-time payment of 125 euros.
Just to keep them complaining for a little bit less.
It's just to keep everyone on their toes, I suppose, isn't it? It's like, we're going to help you. No, we're not. Okay.
To keep the complaints off for 1 month.
Yes, indeed. Portuguese government, get that. What is it? Livro de reclamações ready for your people. I always wanted.
That is typical. That's typical, though. I was surprised when I moved through Portugal. There's many announcements at bars, establishments, stores, everything. There's we have a complaint procedure at hand. I was like, wow, that's really. I find an interesting thing to announce. It's like it's ingrained in the culture. I don't know. It's not something I'm used to seeing. I've been some places in the world. And it's not something common to see. And I was a bit surprised when I discovered.
We have a compliments book here on the Expats Portugal show. We do, Expats Portugal, of course, because you have to, has a livro de reclamações, but we also have a compliments book, and by law, you're meant to write something nice in it every day. Okay, why can't we have that as a bit of legislation? We're going to need it.
I did it with friends. Yeah.
You did what?
I have a gratefulness app with my friends, so we have the obligation to every day write 3 things that you're grateful for. It's just to because we all go through things with two of my best friends. So we have one. Yeah, so we just put down a few things that you're grateful for, because sometimes we just have crappy days like everyone, and then just these small refocusing your attention on the good things that you do have in your life or that went on in the day that can.
How lovely. Maybe we could. How many people are you allowed in a group on that?
It's a WhatsApp group, so you can make the group as big as you want. There's no limit to that, of course. It's not a proprietary
app. It's one you've just created between yourselves.
Yeah, just in WhatsApp. So, or any platform would work for that you can all log into easily. You have to make it easy. That's the idea. You cannot make it. I mean, if we have to use pigeons and send them through regular post, it's going to be not as effective, I think, than just getting a little
you're right.
on your phone.
Yes, if you put a pigeon, if you wrap your affirmations around a pigeon's leg and then send it off into the sky, and then but then an eagle might catch it as it goes out the window, and you think, there goes my affirmation right there. Okay, it's going to be
eagle though.
Yes. Well, I was going to say I had no idea you were quite so cosmic, but of course you are. It all makes complete sense now, Jacqueline. Right, driving license. Ouch, my only bureaucratic nightmare so far. So there you go. That's not too bad, is it? Oh, and the 125 will be paid in October. It doesn't say which October. We're assuming it could be this one coming up. Okay.
October 25.
I don't get it. Why the ageist policy? Oh, this is on licenses. Okay. Well, sometimes it makes sense, doesn't it, when you're driving behind that 85-year-old and you think, maybe a check on people is a good idea sometimes. Sandra, thank you for this. In Portugal, we have to renew the license for the first time at age 50. So there you go. Hi, Nuno from Andy. What is the minimum age of the insurer to get classic motorcycle insurance? Great insurance question.
The minimum age of the insurer?
Yes.
The driver, right?
Yes, that's right. Yes,
16 to some motorcycle It depends of the not the horsepower, but for some characteristic of the motor. The biggest above 18 at 18.
Okay, so there you go. I think a conversation might be required on the specifics of that classic motorcycle. Send us a picture though, Andy. Love to see that old bike of yours that you're talking about. Antonio F is in, and Pete is saying, I applied at the same time for a driver's license as my wife. Got mine 18 months ago and she's still waiting. Portuguese administration is an ethereal thing. It certainly is. OECD, not that one. Old English Cambridge Dictionary. Although all those countries can be found in that dictionary that I read out before. Our current driving license exchange policy is creating a lot of problems and noise. So let's change the policy to make it easier for everyone under the age of 60. What? James, I think we've triggered him this morning with that talk of driving licenses. I did learn in the process that it's impossible to make an appointment online for the local IMT. That's, of course, the driving agency here in Portugal without a Portuguese social security number. So then you have to get into a loop of getting your NIS number, which probably isn't that easy either. Very interesting. Okay, Sandra, thank you for answering this. Depends on the type of motorcycle we're dealing with. What is your cylinder capacity? What sort of question is that to ask a gentleman first thing in the morning? You also have to register your foreign driving license with IMT so they have it logged. There you go. Thanks for that, Pam. Francis is in from South Africa. Bon dia, todos. How are you all? Happy Tuesday. Finally made it. Electricity just got back on. Isn't that amazing? They've got this load shedding thing, haven't they, in South Africa? So glad to see you here. You might have gone again already, though. Enjoying the conversation. Hit that like button. 6 out of 30 here. 6 out of 30 here that like being here. Questioning our existential happiness there, I think, Bob. If you're happy, press the like button. Sandra, the date for the driver's license. Okay, interesting stuff. Thank you, Antonio F., for your contributions. The date for driver's license renewal depends on the issue date. Portuguese driving licenses issued after 2016 are renewed every 15 years until the age of 60, and then they have to be renewed every 3 months. Only joking on that last bit, but I imagine it's more regularly than 15 years after that. Car insurance in the UK is a scam. Oh, that sounds a bitter experience, doesn't it? Nuno, just a personal question. Have you ever been stopped in a Tesla? The GNR here appear to be afraid of them. That's tempting fate, isn't it?
Never.
Never
stopped me. They stopped me. No. By now?
Okay. Well, I think Pete was asking that because I actually can't catch him. But it works from what I've heard. Bon dia, beautiful people from Owen. How you doing, Owen? And are we all excited about the election results of the Donbass region? I wonder who might win, says Pete. Well, any results, do share them on the screen. As I understand it, the use of mine if by anyone only benefits me. That's true. I think that's about right, isn't it? There. Have you got any mortgage questions or insurance questions? We've got the greatest brains in the business with us this morning, right now, here on the Expats Portugal show. In the US, you get a bill in the mail if you want. You can still get that, okay, which is good to know. Though some old habits die hard, don't they, with that? From the US, the idea of anyone, much less many people, having my personal information, my tax number, my bank account number, is a serious security and identity risk. Okay, take a chill pill, Americans. Not like that here. Okay, what's this Antonio F. is saying? We could see how they manage elections in Russia by the footage the Russians provided, military going to everyone's houses to make sure they vote. A free lift to the voting station, maybe.
Save on gasoline.
In a tank. Yes, save on energy. Very good. And the old lady asking to the camera if that was the right square to vote. My goodness. Could be propaganda, just saying. Okay, we also have Sarah with us now. Look at this. What a morning! What a morning this has turned into. So now I just said, Sarah, we have the greatest brains in the business. This is a star-studded panel on currency. We have Sarah Davie from Spartan FX. On mortgages, we have Jacqueline Moulen from Mortgage Direct, and on insurance, we have Nuno Mendes from Winsurance. Thank you for being here, all three of you. Do you know what? We might even get a currency, insurance, or mortgage question, but people are quite distracted on other matters this morning, like Donbass elections and driving licenses. How are you, Sarah?
I'm good, thank you. Look at this is the dream team, isn't it? Just
Yep. I feel like I should do a screenshot. This is quite extraordinary. This is like a lineup of rare planets in the sky with a very incredibly positive portent for certainly good luck for people if they've got questions about insurance, mortgages, or currency. I think things are quite exciting in the currency world at the moment, Sarah. Is that true?
It is very true. Definitely,
Okay. What's
definitely.
the atmosphere like then at Spartan FX right now?
Very busy. Ben's off because it's a Jewish bank holiday. What always happens when one of them, when Ben or Neil take a day off, things go a bit crazy.
I've seen this. Financial Times was saying this the other day. They're looking at what the Federal Reserve is doing in the United States. They're also looking at the Bank of England, and they're also checking on Ben's diary to see if he's going off for a day, because that's when there'll be a massive fluctuation. Is that right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay, keep an eye on that, economist. So what is happening then for pound holders? Not a happy time.
It isn't, unfortunately. We've seen it drop dramatically. Basically, what's happened is that they've come out with a mini budget, and they've basically said they're going to do about £30 billion worth of tax cuts. What they want to do is they want to try and basically put more money back in people's pockets so that they'll spend more. So it sounds good, but the problem is, and why the markets have reacted, is because they haven't really said where they're going to get this £30 billion from. And that's the worrying part. Like, it's huge. So that's what's really worrying. And really, we're already in quite a lot of debt as it is. You know, we're 80% of GDP. So you're just basically putting another £30 billion on top of that. So that's where we saw sort of really the knee-jerk reaction. It has, when it was announced, it was a real kind of drop. It has come back a little bit. So it has rebounded, which is good. Not obviously to where it was the week before, but we've seen it come back a little bit after the knee-jerk reaction. So as more news comes out, you know, if they do come out and sort of perhaps give us a bit more assurance where they're going to get the money from, then that could help. I think, yeah, exactly. I think that the other thing to bear in mind is that, other than obviously this, the UK have been quite transparent with everything that's going on. So like the fact that, you know, we have got it's perhaps going to get worse in the winter, that we are going to go into recession. So when those things happen, it won't be as much of a shock. Obviously, it's not great, but at least we're not shocked by it. That's the biggest thing that tends to move the market. Anything that's unexpected. So your natural disasters, your pandemics, your war, and then anything that goes against expectations. So if we're expecting, you know, the Bank of England to raise rates by a certain percentage, for example, and it doesn't do that, that's when markets kind of react. So this has been quite unexpected, and they've reacted very quickly. So it's just another good example that the rates can move very quickly. Just when you think that you're sat back, no, it's been like this forever or for ages, it will continue. Something can happen and it just disappears. So I think a lot of customers have maybe longer time frames. So if you are one of those people, then we can certainly keep on top of the rate for you. The thing is to bear in mind that, you know, the Eurozone are probably a little bit worse off than what we are. You know, they're going to have supply issues in the winter for their gas. And they were really kind of slow to start raising interest rates, and also slow to really sort of tackle inflation. So it could actually get worse there than it does here, which obviously that would be good for us and good for sterling euro. So we may see some gains maybe in the new year. So if you're perhaps one of those people that've got a bit of time, then, you know, we can monitor the rate and see what's happening. If you're looking to buy a property very soon, then a lot of what we're doing is either two things. One, we can buy your euros in advance now, or we can fix the rate with a 10% deposit. So you're fixing the price of that property. Or we're just watching the rate for you, but we're looking at the bottom level. A lot of time people are always saying, I want to look for this better rate, but you've got to always keep an eye on the lower amount. So for example, if you've got a budget of X amount for your property and you can't afford for it to cost you any more, that's kind of what we're looking to protect as well.
Very good. That's good to know. And people can get in touch with you at spartanfx.co.uk, open that account and get that sort of insight. I heard a couple of good news things occurred to me while you were talking there. Great Britain, United Kingdom leading the way into recession. and then being showing the rest of Europe what's going to come in the future. See, still leaders, I would say, on the global stage. Isn't that amazing? And also one less thing to worry about, which is NASA have fired a rocket at an asteroid. So at least we don't have that to worry about. They've developed the technology, and the results are coming in, aren't they, quite soon? So we know that we are at least protected against that.
Is that like Armageddon?
No, let's not get too excited or worried. But this is what I heard. This is what I heard this morning. That yes, they did. It used to be, didn't it? T minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. We have ignition. We have liftoff. Well, we had impact. They actually fired a rocket. I think they fired an old rocket that they got on eBay, or maybe one of Tesla fellas' old rockets. They fired it at an asteroid just to test the technology. So we're safe. There are many reasons to be cheerful this morning. And there are questions by way of changing the subject too. Now, you all might have an input on this. This is, as you said, Sarah, this is the dream team. There are aspects of insurance, currency, and lending when somebody is coming to Portugal. This particular question, let's see, specifically aimed at Jacqueline. As far as I know, the equity release does not exist here in Portugal. So what would you recommend on that?
Such a nice question. As in, Maxine, I'm sorry to confirm, yes, you're right. There is no such thing as an equity release under certain conditions. So for remodeling of your house, it could be used. But if anyone's listening now and thinking, I'm going to buy in cash because my pound is going to drop even more or something like that, and I'm going to get the mortgage later, no, don't do it. You will not get the mortgage later. So if there's any you thinking, I can do it in cash, so thank you, Maxine, for giving me an opportunity to use the stage to really reinforce the idea. You cannot get an equity out of your property once you bought it. So the mortgage needs to be signed and released before you actually purchase. So if there's any doubt in your mind that you're in a hurry or things like that, you cannot get the money out of the property, period. Unless you're remodeling your property, but that's usually not, like many people want it for just to have the money, to do the purchase now and have the money later back from the bank. They won't do it.
Don't bank on it, as it were. Yeah, okay. And feel free. I mean, I know there's usually a currency angle on this because people are changing money to do these things, Sarah. And there may, of course, be an insurance angle on it as well, Nuno. So do jump in on any of the questions that you see here. Can a D7 visa holder shop for mortgages to get the best rate, etc., as in the US, and lock in? Or are there so few mortgages that there isn't much negotiating power for the buyer? That's a great question, Joy D. At which stage should an American person looking to come here on a D7 visa actually start shopping around and getting advice from you, Jacqueline?
In principle, I think there's so people come from this idea from what they know from the reality back home, and they look at it because I have a visa, I would be eligible for different mortgage options. Actually, the products being offered by the banks in terms of the interest rate is not so different from residents and non-residents. So there's no differential. There's nothing to be gained from being a D7 visa holder. Second, the way banks outlook you, one of it is, yes, what is your documentation saying? But the other one is, where is your income coming from? So if you are earning income in another currency or from another reality, anything outside of Portugal, you're likely to be seen as a non-resident in any case. So having the D7 visa in itself does not make you, per definition, eligible for resident mortgage type of products. The only real benefit from having a resident mortgage versus non-resident is the percentage of funds that would be available. So that would be probably 10% more versus 70%, could be 80%. But then again, it all depends on your history. So if you've just landed in Portugal and you think you can get an 80% mortgage because you hold a visa, if your income is not declared or earned in Portugal yet, or you don't have a history of that, then likely it's not going to change anything on your mortgage availability and options.
Very good. Love it. Jacqueline, always straight to the point there. You know where you stand with Jacqueline. And of course, we'll have your link to go to the website. So I'll certainly put that up on the screen, Jacqueline, before we finish the show today.
What I want to add to that is that we do know what kind of is the offer from the banks before we actually go to the banks. So we can make an assessment for clients prior to, they don't need to shop around because we do that. We've done it. We understand what banks are offering. We get updated prior. Doesn't mean, because it is more volatile than we've ever seen. So right now it's been the most difficult time to do my work, basically. As long as I've been doing this work in the last 7 years. But still that we would know, we've done the shopping around. That's the
Yeah.
bottom line.
Okay, great, Jacqueline. Thank you for that. It's not Cambridge; it's concise. I have have the full one, which is 12 volumes, and you need a powerful magnifying glass to read it. Now, Pete, we need help here because the word unprecedented is now normal. Can you go and look in your OECD dictionary, please, and find us another word for unprecedented? Because it's just worn out, isn't it? We need, people keep saying it, and it doesn't mean anything anymore. It is the new normal. Jacqueline, Joy D likes your idea of a gratefulness log. We were talking about WhatsApp groups, Sarah, before you joined us, and putting three things you're glad about. Is that right, Jacqueline? And promotes my mantra: change your words, change your world. That's lovely. So it's the opposite of a complaints book. It is actually things you're grateful for that you share and express with friends. We could have
easy.
Yeah, it's great.
So
What I love the idea. Love it.
Yeah.
Nom de plume enjoying a bit of cylinder capacity over there, and Bob agreeing with Joy about the gratitude app system that Jacqueline was talking about as well. Okay, what percentage do I need to put down to buy a home in Portugal, and what is the mortgage rate? You may have touched on this briefly, but could you just elaborate for David here, please?
Yeah. So percentage, 30% deposit, and you need somewhere between 7 to 10% for fees and taxes. So rule of thumb, 40% of your own funds you need to buy any property of the purchase price. Okay. And the mortgage rate, it depends on what you're taking out. I find that I always find it a topic I'd rather not discuss, because if that mortgage rate exists in the market, doesn't mean that it, in your case, would be available for you, David Durham, because it really depends on which bank I can take you, which profile. That makes a whole difference. But fixed rates can be somewhere, depending how long it's fixed, can be somewhere between 2.5%, 3.5% ish.
Yeah.
And I really, this is a ballpark figure. This is not a mortgage advice, and this is not something I can guarantee. And then variable rate could be 1%. So that's the bank spread. And then they add whatever Euribor is doing it today. And I think that's where most people are. They kind of feel it in the market, but I just like to give you an actual number. Euribor did increase between January until now around 2%. So it was -0.5. Now it's around 2%, 3 already. So it's even more than 3% that it increased. So that's where some nervousness is coming from. And you see that reflected in the rates. But it's still, I think what Sarah also touched on briefly, rates are still okay compared to the US reality or the UK reality, if you consider that too.
Good to know. And now I know you need to go. Is there anything you want to say to us? Any questions you've seen ahead of me that you want to add before you leave us this morning?
No, just give us a shout out if you're thinking about buying a mortgage. And as I said, don't think you can get the money out of the property afterwards, because I've had to disappoint a few clients like that. So please, if you're in doubt and if you're in a hurry to buy, talk to us. Drop me a quick line and I'll reach out to you.
Okay, well, and I'll make sure the link is on the screen for that. So the people with that plan, they're thinking to themselves, I know what I'll do is I'll get myself a place in Portugal. Then I'll release all that equity because the prices are going up all the time. It may not be the case for you. You might need a rethink on that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Any exotic destinations you're going to anytime soon, Jacqueline? We often catch you flying hither and thither. Brazil, for example.
Spain, and then maybe after Brazil again. Yeah, but for now, just Spain. Yeah, that's not so exciting. Yeah.
Bon voyage. Lovely to see you. Thank you so much for being in this morning. Always fun.
Thank you, Golf. Always fun. Thank you. Have a lovely
day. Sorry, that was a bit hasty there. Sorry about that, Jacqueline. And thank you very much for being here. The link for finding Jacqueline, as with Nuno and Sarah in the business directory of Expats Portugal, they can be found right next to Mortgage Direct SL here in the expatsportugal.com business directory. Sarah, I'm keen to know what else is going on in that exciting world of currency of yours. And Nuno, feel free to jump in.
Absolutely. Well, actually, just following on from obviously Jacqueline talking about property, and similarly, obviously, we can't give advice and tell people when to do it, what to do. We can give you guidance. It is ultimately your decision. But one of the things that's come out, I think we've mentioned it, before, is people are sort of so focused on one element, but you've kind of always got to package it all together, because it's all part of your move, whether it be, you're moving country. Yes, you need a visa. Yes, you need to buy property or rent. Yes, you'll need insurance. You need to look at the currency exchange. It all comes together. And one of the things that I think has been really interesting is the stats we saw about the house prices rising. that I think Anna from Savica had mentioned as well. I think the data hasn't come out yet for Q2 and Q3 yet, so I'd be interesting to see what that looks like. But Q1 of this year, the house prices went up about 12.9%. Obviously, I think that's an average of everything. I know that in Lisbon, for example, it's probably going up higher than it is in more rural areas, but just as a sort of average. But if, for example, you were selling US dollars and you were buying euros, the rate is really good, still really good. We're still sort of 20-year highs. And since January to now, the US dollar, it is strengthened by 13%. So if we're just looking at the house price we saw at the beginning of the year, we've almost negated that with the currency. So yes, they've gone up, but actually the currency's improved so much that you're kind of absorbing that cost. It's not an extra cost, really. It's helped you. As I said, I'd be interested to see how much it's gone up. But as I said, it ultimately, people are not realizing that that's actually helping them as well, which is really positive.
Yep, thank you for that. Okay, let's see what other questions we've got in the last few minutes of the show this morning. Thank you for being here, Nuno and Sarah. Nuno, can I, with a UK license, buy a car and leave it in Portugal? He should be able to do it. If he's got a NIF number, he'll be all right, won't he, Nuno?
Yes.
Okay.
You can, Chris.
Yes, you can. And you can leave it with me, Chris, depending on what it is, of course. Cut taxes so that people can spend more while increasing interest rates so people spend less. Carl H., good morning to you. Thank you for that acerbic look at current policy. Sorry, man, I'm lurking and making hay. Some know the context. Apologies if I've missed anyone's messages. Francis, no, don't you worry, mate. We've got your back here. It's good of you to be here. I like Sarah's last name. It's very cute. Okay. I don't think she's known as Sarah Davie Spartan FX as a hyphenated name on her checkbook or official documents. I think, you know, in many ways, you should be the Right Honourable Lady Sarah Davie Spartan FX for the whole.
Apparently, years ago, there was a woman that I used to work with who had a double-barreled name, and she said apparently, which I don't know if this is true, but she said if you've got a double-barreled name, you're more likely to get free upgrades for things.
I imagine that's true. Always wear a jacket on an aeroplane and make sure you've got a double-barreled name while traveling. There you go. That's the good advice. If anyone makes that work, let us know. Nice little life hack from Sarah there. UK is in recession and the pound went up when Boris left. It's crazy Kwasi giving tax breaks to his mates and destroying the UK for the next government that has put them off. The euro is safer, in my humble opinion. There you go. Opening activity. Okay, that's starting a business here, James. That's what the Portuguese call it, opening an activity, which is a quaint turn of phrase. Nuno, do you want to add to
that? So to work in Portugal, we must, as a self-employer, we must open an activity. So, and I believe that this is what James is talking about.
Yes, indeed. Okay, and get advice from an accountant, which I didn't do. I put myself in the wrong VAT bracket. It's not the end of the world, but it's good to get professional advice on these things, James. You can rock up at a finances and register your activity, but it's going to be easier to take someone with you who you know or get somebody to help you with that. If I buy a new car, how many years before I have to get an MIT or IMT inspection? Is it 2 years, or first of all?
4 years.
4 years. Wow, that's good. So no inspection for 4 years if you buy a new car.
Right.
Very good. Okay.
A brand new car.
Excellent. Don't look up, says Stephen Wells. Don't know why, but there you go.
There are a question for Sarah that seems me interesting from Nam de Plume. I honestly don't know what Spartan FX actually does. Okay.
Thanks, Nuno, for spotting that. Yeah, that could be quite useful, couldn't it?
Good for you, Sarah.
Back to basics this morning. Okay, go on. Take it away. Thank you, Nuno, for that.
Excellent. Good spot. Basically, we help with the currency side of things, that you're moving your money. So it's not an investment. It is actually transferring your money for specific reasons. So, for example, whether you're in the UK, you're in the US, you're in Canada, you're in Australia, you're in Switzerland, you've got your currency, whether it be US dollars, sterling, Canadian dollars, and you need to convert them into euros. And that's essentially the service that we offer. And then we can either pay to a third party, so we can pay your lawyer, we can pay to anybody that's got a bank account, or we can put the money directly into your Portuguese euro bank account as well. And what the three things that we really help you with, one is that we can save you money against the rate of the day, so against maybe your bank or against another provider. Certainly with your bank, it's always worthwhile checking. I speak to a lot of people that think that they're getting a good rate, and it isn't always the case. So completely free to check, but always worthwhile. The other thing that we help, which we touched on at the beginning of this, is the rates do fluctuate. So I suppose to put it into sort of current like pounds or US dollars, you know, a rate of, I think certainly for pounds into euros, we dropped about, what was it, 2.5%. And on a 250,000 euro property, that's £5,500 difference. And that can happen in one day, in a couple of days, you know, so the rates can move quite drastically. And as we said, even just sort of the house price example, US dollar has strengthened 13% since the beginning of the year. So it is a really good time to be buying your US dollars. So we just help you manage those fluctuations, because it can either be cheaper for you or it can be more expensive. So it's definitely worthwhile looking into that. And within that, you've got a few different options. You might be thinking, great, the rates are favorable, but I don't have a Portuguese bank account set up. That's not a problem. We can buy your euros in advance now, and we can hold them on account for you free of charge. So the account's in your name. It's very similar to a bank account. We can hold it until you're ready to move that money, and that's done at free of charge. So a lot of customers, certainly Americans, are doing that at the moment. They're either topping up their account that they already have, or they're buying all their euros and we're holding it on account for them free of charge. The other thing that we spend quite a lot of our time doing is really just speaking to you, answering any of your questions, no matter how small they are. We can take WhatsApp calls. You can contact us by email, by phone, whatever you want to do. We do video calls as well. We've had examples where people have been in their branch speaking to their bank teller, and they video called my colleague Ben and said, can you speak to my bank teller? So any questions that you get, any issues. We also always check the beneficiary account details as well. If you're given them by a lawyer, for example, by email, human error, we always ring and speak to the lawyer and make sure those details are correct. A lot of the times, yep, smaller amounts are fine, but when you're coming to make larger transfers, it's more than you've ever done. It can be quite a daunting experience, and we're just there to really hold your hand through that process, essentially.
There you go. Now you know, nom de plume, Sarah. So one more question each. I'm sorry I've kept you past 10 o'clock here, but Sarah, quick one for you. I think nom de plume Sarah is in Canada, so she wants to buy euros. How's that looking for the loonie at the moment?
Yeah, so the Canadian dollar has been quite good. We are at 8-year highs for the Canadian dollar, selling dollars and buying euros. We did dip a little bit, but certainly in the last 6 months, I think we've strengthened by, I think, nearly 5%. So it's really good. And what's driven that really is a couple of things. One, they've been interest rate hikes by the Bank of Canada, and also Canada do supply oil and gas. So obviously with countries that are maybe looking for alternative supplies, demand goes up, the prices for those commodities go up as well. And that's obviously quite favorable for the Canadian dollar. Again, it's always worthwhile with a lot of the currencies. As I said, we've seen it with the UK, and we've seen it before with the war when that started, when obviously Russia turned off the taps as well, which is obviously what's been negative for the euro. Is anything that can change dramatically. The end of the war would be really positive for the euro. And obviously at the moment, the US dollar is seen as a safe haven currency. People might pull out of that if there's a bit more stability. The US dollar is very, very strong, which is really what you want. But as I mentioned before, the US do not want that because it's impacting their exports. So over the years, they have intervened and weakened actually actively weakened their currency, so they could still well do that. There is recessions, as I said, they're potentially expected, so we might not see too much of a movement when it's announced, but obviously it's still not great for the economies. But anything that's, as I said, unexpected or could come out. There's quite a lot of volatility at the moment, or lots of things that could cause volatility. And I think that's ultimately the thing to bear in mind, that while it may be great for you at the moment, your rates, things can change very quickly. So if anything, it's just worth having a conversation with us. We need to find out what's your situation, what's your budget, what are your time frames, and we can just help either monitor the rate or come up with the right solution for you. And the other thing as well, we always want you to think about it early on. I know it's very low on the list, but the longer you give it, the more options you have. And also just thinking about how you're moving your money before you leave your home country. That does come up quite a lot. We see a lot of people, they don't really think about it. They move to Portugal and then they find that for some reason their bank won't transfer the money. Maybe their online banking has a limit. If you're buying a property and your limit's $10,000, you're doing that for 2 weeks. You know, there's things that maybe you could look into before you leave, just to make sure that that's easier for you.
Great stuff. Now, you definitely know what Spartan FX do now. Sarah, not you, Sarah, you definitely do. But Sarah Bloom does. And now, thank you so much. That might have been your 10 o'clock on the phone. Sarah Davie, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. We'll say goodbye to you. So you can go about your business. Lots of love to Ben and everyone else at the office when they return from wherever they've been. Ciao, ciao.
No problem.
Right.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
One more for you. Sorry, it's so difficult to saying goodbye to people. I had to keep cutting them off. But one more for you then, Nuno, as well. When you purchase life insurance from the back to cover your mortgage, does this come with private health from the bank? Okay, yeah, from the bank. Does this come with private health insurance? Last question for you this morning.
No. In Portugal, health insurance and life insurance, they are always separated. Always.
Okay. Right.
Till now, there are different insurance policies, different products. So life insurance, it's mandatory for mortgage purposes, but not health insurance.
All right. Thank you very much indeed, Nuno Mendes from Winsurance. Find all of these wonderful people who joined me this morning in our business directory at expatsportugal.com. I will put the link to the business directory, and there you'll be able to find Nuno, you'll be able to find Sarah, and you'll be able to find Jacqueline, who all joined me and had a bit of fun. We came to talk about what we needed to talk about, didn't we? And we had a bit of fun as well this morning, which is what I think it's all about. So thank you, Nuno, for being part of that fun this morning. And we'll see you again soon, my friend.
Certainly. Thank you for all to hearing me once again.
It's always fun.
I wish you a very good day to you, Carl.
There you go. And you're getting some of that.
Maybe in 15 days.
All right, mate. See you then. Ciao. Bye for now. There he goes. Nuno Mendes, everyone. Nice round of applause. And I put I put in director instead of directory. So let me see if I can put that right now. I think you should be okay with that in there, but you can figure it out for yourself. You're all very intelligent people. You wouldn't be here otherwise, would you? Okay, we have a couple more things to show. Thanks for today. It's been a good show this morning. Very useful and interesting. Thanks to all Jacqueline, Sarah, Nuno, and Carl. My pleasure. A great day here. It's been a while. Glad I came. Thanks, Bob. Thank you for being here. Excellent to see you. Love to Viv. I use both Winsurance and Spartan FX. They're both excellent. Thank you very much for that. And we lost Amelie already. She had to go and do some work. I think we've all got to be doing something else about now. 10 minutes past 10, such as it is. And memes going withering on the vine here. I'll have to carry them over tomorrow. I've got a couple of special ones, though, and some dad jokes. My therapist told me, write letters to the people you hate and then burn them. Did that, but now I don't know what to do with the letters. Oh, James, my goodness. You see, this is what your therapist is really thinking when you're not lying on their couch and talking to them. Fantastic. Very good. We'll do those dad jokes as well now before we go. Where did they go? About an hour ago. My goodness. Okay, dad jokes then. You have been warned. What do you call a guy who's had too much to drink? A cab. I see. I do understand it now. And see if I understand this one. What do you call someone who graduates last in their class from med school? Doctor. I don't understand that. I don't get it, but I think some of you will. It gets one of those anyway. Fantastic. I might have missed a dad joke this morning. If I did, actually, no, I've got a way of checking that. Let me just make sure. Oh, Peggy, Prosecco Peggy. She was grateful that we asked about her Broken leg. Thanks for asking about my ankle leg. It's still a mess. Plenty of pain. MRI showed large contusion and lots of blood in my left buttock and upper thigh. I'm to see a specialist in Gambelas in October. Now, when people call me a pain in the ass, I can say it's true. Bless you, Prosecco Peggy. Thank you for sending that message to us. Did I miss any dad jokes? Let me just check before a nice little meme that I want to share with you. Oh, what do you call a parade of rabbits hopping backwards? A receding hairline. Ouch. Okay, thank you very much for that. So last meme of the day. Then I wanted to share this with you at the beginning, but why not share it now after all this worldly talk of insurance, mortgages and currency and all the things that are going on in the world? We're putting on a brave face, we're having a few laughs, but I want to tell you this from Self Love Lounge. Your presence on this planet is incredibly valuable. And you being here during this time means you have a special contribution to make to humanity. Don't you forget that. So stop handing your divine potential over to the limiting beliefs of our current society. Be brave and step into your greatness. Nice one, Self Love Lounge. Make it so, folks, and we'll see you tomorrow with the doc for Ask Anything About Portugal Wednesday. And he's actually going to tell us what it's like to be in what he called Plague Island. I'll call it the United Kingdom, and we'll see you tomorrow to have that conversation. Don't forget, stop handing your divine potential over to the limiting beliefs of our current society. See you tomorrow. Ciao, hasta luego.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.